Good morning, everybody. For those of you who have been watching this series that I've done on YouTube called Drafted U.S. Army Letters Home, this is the final episode and concludes my Army career. And these are letters all from the East Coast, Fort Dix, and my travels on the East Coast to my relatives, my purchase of a car, and then my preparation to head out and go home, and everything that happened. So, travels around the area, best that I could. So please enjoy, please like, share, and subscribe, and hope you'll enjoy, and thanks for watching all this time. So let's get right to it. This is at Fort Dix now, May 24th. Dear Mom and Dad, thanks for the offer of $200 to help me buy a car. I'm afraid I will have to use all $200 of it so that I maybe get a good buy. I have $200 cash with me now, and payday is just a few days away, and I will probably clear about $150. I already have about $122 in my checking account, so now the total is about $550. Clear to buy the car. And I will be sure to buy my insurance as soon as I get it. So please deposit the money and I will let you know what I do as soon as possible. Sergeant E.8 Daniels, who is the head chaplain's assistant here, is trying to get me promoted to E5 and get me moved to a better job somewhere on post. There's a big mix-up about where I am supposed to go. I hope it gets settled soon. Tomorrow is my day off, and I'm debating whether to go to New York or not. The weather around here has been terrible lately, and it has been cold. If I go up there, I will try to call Tippy. That's George Hadley, good friend of the family's. Right after I finish this letter, I'm going to write Uncle Bob and tell him where I am and see about coming down to see him. Right now, I only have one day off at a time, so that rules out overnight stays. But I could see them all day. When I get my wheels, I'll be able to get around a lot better. Well, I have to go and write that letter. I will keep you informed about what I do. P.S. Mail service is much improved since I've been from Vietnam. I got another letter yesterday, dated January 2nd. 1st of June, dear Mom and Dad. Well, I haven't bought a car yet, but I am looking and it won't be long now. I wrote and told Uncle Bob about my quest for a car. He said that if I were to come down to Wilmington soon, he would drive me around to some of the dealers there and help me look for a car. I think that is a real nice offer, and I should be going down next weekend. I would be going this weekend, but they're going to Alice's graduation at Wellesley, so next weekend will be my best bet. Yesterday was payday and I received $155, which will help me a whole lot on my expenses. I will call you from Bob's when I get there. On Memorial Day, I decided to go into Trenton and watch the Indy 500 race on closed circuit television at a theater. The start was interesting, but of course, the stopping of the race was very disappointing, and although they gave us a rain check, I couldn't go see the rest of the race the next day because I had to work, so I listened to it on the radio. I'm supposed to have Friday and Saturday off this weekend, so I'm planning to go to New York City if the weather holds out. I've been going to the craft shop for the past few weeks, and that is why I have the photos of the place where I live. I will probably send photos of my activities from time to time so you can share my experiences. Time is going by real fast for me, and I will be home before you know it. It has not been decided yet what is going to happen to me as far as moving is concerned. I'm supposed to go to the 2nd Brigade next week, but they are batting me around like a ping pong ball. Chaplain McNabb wants to keep me here, but there's a vacancy in the 2nd Brigade, and actually I would have a better deal over there. I will let you know what happens. When you find out when it is Alice's wedding, Please let me know. Maybe I will still be up here for that. Thanks for sending the copies of the slides. They came out pretty good, and I'm sure that with the right film and a little more practice, I should get pretty good at making copies. I still haven't sent my slides I took in Denver off yet, but I will do that real soon. I can't wait to see them. Well, that's about all for now. We'll call you from Uncle Bob. Well, that's the first clue I've had that we did go to Denver after my mom and dad picked me up in San Francisco. Apparently, we were in Denver. So I don't remember that. That's the first mention of it, actually. Kind of interesting. Yeah, that trip is a fog to me. I just don't remember much about it. I remember little bits, but maybe it'll come back to me someday, but I doubt it. It's June 6th. This is the same year, 67. Dear Mom and Dad, I talked to you on the phone tonight and really enjoyed hearing you again. Go ahead and send me that small amplifier and tuner as soon as you can. There is no use just letting it sit around at home when I can use it here. I had bought at some point in the past inexpensive tuner and amplifier. They were two little separate units. They were like a stopgap high fidelity thing that was probably Radio Shack or something like that. And they weren't very good, but I had them sitting around, so I didn't want to send my good equipment all the way up there and worry about it, and couldn't have any use for it. So I guess that's what I had them do, is send that and I could use it. In those days, consumer electronics were spotty at best. You just couldn't go out and get like what you want like you can nowadays. You go to Best Buy and it's anything in the world you want is there. This past week I had Friday and Saturday off, so I decided to go into New York to see the sights and look up George Hadley, Tippy. I had written him and told him that I wanted to come on and see him, but I had not received a letter from him as yet. When I got there Thursday night, I called him and he told me how to get to his place. So I followed his instruction, and there was there in a half an hour later. He lived on the about the 75th Street, 76th Street on the east side of New York, and nice apartment. I vaguely remember going there, and it was a beautiful apartment. I believe he was in the advertising business. That was what he did. That was his job. We talked for a while and then hit the sack. The next morning, Friday, I walked around while he was at work. I took a lot of pictures, 3 rolls, while there, and I already have the negatives ready to print. I saw Central Park. That was an interesting thing. At the Fort Dix, they had that craft shop, and you could go in there and do photo work, do all kinds of stuff. And I got into the photo lab and developed my own black and white pictures, which I'm going to show you during this these few letters. Pictures I took around New York and stuff. So, but that was interesting. I got a lot of experience in working with black and white pictures. They had a lot of enlargers. They had all the tools you need. It's pretty cool. I remember some of that. I already have the negatives ready to print. I saw Central Park, FAO Schwartz Toys, Rockefeller Center, RCA Building, NBC, and the top of NBC, all main streets. On the NBC tour, I saw the studio where Johnny Carson's show is shot and saw Gene Rayburn in the match game being taped. I also saw the main control rooms and Tape Central of NBC. Tickets to the Johnny Carson show are booked 9 months in advance. Other shows are given out daily at NBC. George was on that show, the match game, last year, but the show was preempted and was never shown. It was all very interesting. That night, George and I went to the top of the Pan Am building to the Copter Club for a drink, and then to Mama Leone's for a delicious meal. Unfortunately, I didn't feel very good while there. I didn't eat at all. That was quite a place, and later we went down to Greenwich Village and walked around there and then down to the Bowery. It was quite an experience to see all the weird people around. We got in quite late and talked till 3 a.m. and went to bed. I didn't wake until 11 a.m. George had errands to run, so I had a cup of yogurt and said goodbye to George and took for the matinee at the theater and ended up at Radio City Music Hall and saw a cute musical, Barefoot in the Park, and of course the Rockettes. A most enjoyable afternoon. I then found a steak restaurant and enjoyed an excellent ribeye steak, charcoal cooked and delicious. I arrived back at Dix. I guess I got my appetite back the next day. I arrived back at Fort Dix around midnight Saturday. Everything I did cost less than $20. Nowadays it would be $1,000, wouldn't it? And I did a lot in those 2 days. I sent George a thank you note tonight for letting me stay there with him. He wouldn't let me buy his meal at Leone's. As soon as I get the Davis's address in Cherry Hill, I will visit them. It is about 20 minutes from here. Philadelphia is about 45 or 50 minutes. New York City is an hour and 45 minutes by bus. And it only costs $2.20 round trip. Wilmington is 1 hour and 5 minutes by train from Trenton. Thanks for sending the amp and tuner. I want to register my car in Texas when I get it. Would you please get all the dope and necessary papers to do so? Dope in those days meant information. It's got a different meaning now. Well, gotten tired, gotta go to bed. Love, Donnie. Pretty cool. So that was an interesting letter, and especially a change of scenery, a change of feeling. After being in Vietnam, I'm sure the Vietnam was slowly fading in my memory, and I guess you tend to tune things out as you go through life, but I do remember some of those things. I don't remember going to, I do remember going to the theater to see the Rockettes. I don't remember Mama Leone's. I don't remember going to the top of the Pan Am building, but we did some fun stuff, and I wish I could had a clearer memory of that. Nowadays, I take my phone and I would take pictures of everything, and I could remember. Things have changed. This is Sunday, the 11th, and I believe it's still in June. Dear Mom and Dad, I have already bought a couple of cheap speakers for my amplifier and tuner, so I'm ready to go when I get the set. They only cost $9.40 each, so I haven't lost much. Didn't get to Uncle Bob's this weekend, but we'll try to go the 19th, 20th, and 21st of this month when I get a 3-day pass. I will go down by train from Trenton, and will call him before I go, of course. And I think I remember going down by train, very enjoyable ride, and then I got there, he was waiting on the railhead there where we get off there at the terminal, waiting for me. I thought that was very impressive. I have about 20 days of leave coming, and I'm going to take it in probably August. I'm thinking of 2 different plans of what to do with it. One of these plans is to stay up here and travel around the east and take in Expo 67, and I think I was in Canada. And the other is to fly home for a few days vacation, or I could maybe hit the fair and fly home after seeing it. One of our chaplains left here today for Canada in the fair, so I will see how it is. Love, Donnie. I don't think I ever made it to Expo. Dear Mom and Dad, this is 22nd of June. Dear Mom and Dad, the amplifier arrived today. It's an amplifier and a tuner, separate boxes. The amplifier arrived today, and both were smashed to bits. The amplifier was twisted and bent on two corners, and the glass was smashed and the front plate bent in on the tuner. I hooked it all up and tried it, and surprisingly, it worked pretty good. But there was at least $40 or $50 worth of damage there. The package had been torn or busted upon, and it had some terrible impact because nothing escaped damage. Even the wires were almost cut into, and the little clips were bent. I don't know how it even works. I am going to talk with the post office here as soon as I get over there to see if I can claim damage and get any money out of them. There's no excuse for that in this day and age. I'm mad. What should I do? I got a car Wednesday, a VW. It is white with a sunroof and seems to be pretty good. I can start pinching my pennies now, and I'm sure I will have money to spare. Right now it is down in Delaware being prepared for me to take delivery. I got a good deal on it, so you need not worry about my getting stung on it. Uncle Bob thought it was worth it. I will send you a picture of it as soon as I take one of it and get it printed. I received your letter last night with the license info, and unfortunately I won't be able to use it. The car is licensed in Delaware until next March. It only cost me $6 to do it, so I think it's worth it. My insurance cost about $230, and monthly payments are only about $16 for 8 months. Coverage is for a full year starting at 24th of June. I bought liability and comprehensive, and the company is Government Employees Insurance Company, Geico. And it is nationwide, and I can use it even though I will not be in the service. This will make a Volkswagen for Jean and Johnny, Janet and Glenn, and now for me. I'll do a little side story here. Believe it or not, I had about $500 to look for a car, which you could buy a car for $500 in those days. However, it would still be a $500 car. Out of the goodness of his heart, my Uncle Bob took me to his local Volkswagen dealer. I think he'd already been there. And found a car he thought would be good and actually bought it for me. I never acknowledged that to my folks, to anybody until now. First time I've ever acknowledged it. I didn't write about it. He may have told me not to say it, but that was the nicest thing anybody could do for me, and I was very appreciative. So Uncle Bob found that car and surprised me with it, and that was so gracious, and I truly appreciate it. He's now passed on, of course, but now the secret is out. So anybody who's wondering about that car, that's what happened. And that's a neat thing. I have some pictures of it that I'll show. I had a wonderful stay at Uncle Bob's for 3 days. Their hospitality is just unbeatable, and the weather was just right. Peter and Karen bought a house while I was there, and I'm sure you'll be hearing about it soon. I was fortunate in that I got to see it last week, and it is not finished yet. So they can choose what color to paint the paintable areas and what color tile to do in the bathrooms. They should be in it in August or nearby, or nearly. It is very near to Uncle Bob's. It really is, and I was looking the other day on Google Earth, and we found Uncle Bob's house, and that's in the Brandywine area of Delaware, up close to the Pennsylvania border. In fact, it's right on the border, near Malvern and several beautiful places. It's mostly estates and open land, and the area is called a Flint Woods Preserve, I believe. And looking on Google Earth, we found their house, and then we also found Peter and Karen's house, which is you can literally walk through the woods. You can drive there, but you can walk through the woods, a short, maybe 10, 15-minute walk to their house. And we did that one time, walked all the way down to their house. And it was wonderful to be able to see those two houses and the juxtaposition of the houses, and it was pretty cool. I was fortunate in that I got to see it last week, It is not finished yet, so they can choose what color to paint the paintable areas and what color tile to do the bathrooms. They should be in it by August or nearly. It is very near to Uncle Bob's. I met Bill, Alice's husband-to-be, and he seemed very nice and intelligent. I'm sure Bob and Lucille like him. Alice is going to California tomorrow to visit Robbie for a few days. Another of our cousins lived in California. All in all, it was a very enjoyable 3 days, and I hope I can do it again before I leave. Uncle Bob would like to see my slides of Vietnam, if possible, so I wonder if you could bring up your projector and some of my slides when you come. I won't show them before the wedding, but after would be a better time. He wants to see them. I hope you can come up to Fort Dix while here and see where I work and live, and while you're there, I will take my leave about 20 days. Uncle Bob didn't think I would need a tux for the wedding, but be sure before you come up here. Do I have a white dinner jacket? Maybe you should bring that up. I wonder if they were driving, because it seemed like adding a lot of luggage to their trip. I feel like I know the Robert Flints now better than ever before, and I think it's good to know your relatives. Well, I must go for now and have fun in the Bahamas. Oh, apparently my folks were going to the Bahamas. And, when your uncle buys you a car, that's pretty interesting and great gesture on his part. I think that's wonderful. So it's good to know him and have been there several times over the years. It was a wonderful, wonderful thing. June 27th, 1967. Dear Jean and Johnny, this is my sister and brother-in-law. Well, I am now a car owner. I am sure you have already heard about this, but I thought I would tell you separately. It is a Volkswagen. It is white like yours with a blue interior. It runs real good and is smooth at highway speeds. It is clean and looks nice, almost like new. It was a 1961, I believe, Volkswagen. I think it had a sunroof. I'm not sure now, but it was one of the early ones. But it's very good. I can't wait to bring it home for you to see. It is amazing how far $400 or $500 will go on a used car these days. A little tongue-in-cheek there. My insurance cost me $235, and I will have $16 payments per month for 8 months. I've taken some pictures of it, and as soon as I can get them developed, I will send you one. Now all three of us kids have VWs. Janet has one. You have one, and now me. They are a lot of fun to drive, though. Last night we had our monthly PMOC rally at the Post Chapel, and I don't know what PMOC stands for. I don't remember that. An insurance executive from Philadelphia spoke of his experience with Christ and a young couple who work with the Billy Graham Crusade. I got to talking to them and found out that they have been to Airhead Springs recently and are very familiar with Campus Crusade for Christ. They both sang and gave their testimonies, and to me was the high point of the whole meeting. You could tell they were real Christians, and it was good to talk to some again. You know how things are in the service, not too many Christians around. I have put in for leave during Alice's wedding, and I'm pretty sure I will be able to get it. Okay. Mom and Dad are supposed to be up here too, so I'll be off for them too. I got some pretty good pictures of Jana that day. I took pictures at your house. I'm going to get some prints made of the best ones, and I will send them to you. So look forward to that. I spent Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday down at Uncle Bob's and had a great time. They really know how to be a good host to a guest. Like buying you a car? Pretty good. I felt like a king while there. Uncle Bob took me around to all the car lots until I found my car, and this was instead of going to work downtown. They were real good to me while there. Yes, they were. And I really appreciated it. Unfortunately, couldn't tell anybody. Sunday, I went to Cherry Hill to visit with the Davises. They were surprised to see me. The Davises were friends of mine from church here in Corpus Christi, and they moved up to Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Kept track of them. In fact, we still see them from time to time, even up to now. And they have a real nice house with an acre of land and some nice big trees. They live only about 20 minutes from me. Mr. Davis took me on a grand tour of Cherry Hill and surrounding area. It is a nice area, but I wouldn't want to live there. They want me to visit them again before I leave, so I'm going to make a point to. Saturday, I went down to the shore to get a look at what it is like here, and I must say it's not like the Gulf Coast nor the West Coast. It is too crowded here to be any fun, and the water is too cold. I believe it is one solid city from New York City down to Atlantic City, inland to about 3 miles. This whole area is too crowded for me. You ought to see it now. It's even worse. I like a little space. I guess I'm a wide open spaces man for life. That's what it is being in Texas. You're a Texan, you like wide open spaces. Get along, little doggy. Tomorrow, I'm going back to Wilmington to get my horn fixed. The car's guaranteed for 30 days, and I forgot to check the horn when I was looking at it. Well, I got to go now. Love in Christ, Donnie. The saga of the Volkswagen. Saturday, 8th of July. Dear Mom and Dad, things have been real fine up here at Fort Dix. I went down to Uncle Bob's again for the 4th and 5th of July. Had a wonderful time there. The 3rd of July, Alice arrived from California after visiting Robbie. It sounded like she had a wonderful time. I'm able to drive to Bob's in less than 2 hours and use only 5 gallons of gas. All but 20 miles of it is interstate road. Last Saturday, I drove to Brooklyn, New York, and visited with Chaplain Hendrickson, who is stationed there now. He was looking good, and we had a real nice visit. He wants me to come up again for a longer visit. After seeing him, I drove to Manhattan and looked for Tip Hadley, but he was gone for the evening. I then drove around for a while and took in the sights, and after eating in a nice restaurant, I wonder what it was, I headed back to Dix, arriving around midnight. On Sunday, I drove to Philadelphia, taking in all the sights. Didn't like it too much, though. My VW is real nice, and don't worry, I didn't go into debt to buy it. It was originally bought in Germany and shipped over here, so as soon as I can get some pictures taken of it, I will send you some. My boss is on leave for 2 weeks, so now I'm in charge for that time. I'm having to work 3 weekends in a row. Good, now I can save some money. I've only about 70 days left in the Army, and that's good. I have decided not to try and get any money out of the post office department, since it still works and I couldn't get much anyway. I have been using the stereo setup almost every day, and it's very enjoyable. Well, I got to go back to work, having a wedding this afternoon at the church, at the chapel. That's interesting. September 16th. Getting very close to leaving Fort Dix and the Army. I'll be driving back to Corpus Christi in my little Volkswagen. Dear Mom and Dad, well, now I'm down to 5 days, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm all cleared from post here, just waiting to sign out and leave. It won't be long now. Just after I talked to you on the phone the other day, Tony Russo and I left the chapel and saw a big column of smoke off in the distance and heard sirens, so we went to investigate. As we got closer to it, we noticed it was in the vicinity of Chapel number 6. Chapel 6 is an old theater building converted to a Catholic chapel, and it's almost entirely made of old dry timbers. When we arrived, sure enough, the chapel was on fire. It was almost destroyed by the time we arrived. It was a beautiful chapel, easily the nicest inside on post, but it is now lying in rubble. The cause has not been found yet. There were 23 fire trucks there, and it burned for 3 hours. It is completely destroyed, and they are going to just plow it under and build a new on another location. That's a very dramatic incident, and I do not remember anything about it, which is surprising to me. Do not remember that. Remember how my car wouldn't start in the mornings? Well, I found out what the trouble was. It was the battery low on water. I knew I should have checked it sooner, but I didn't. I finally put water in it after having to push it every time to start it. I actually try to park on a hill, give it a little push, and go down the hill and bump start it. It was a stick shift. After putting water into it, I had to drive on the road for a few hours to get it charged up. So drove down to Wilmington to check on my enlarging lens and condenser at the Lincoln camera shop. The stuff had not arrived as yet, but she'd be there when I go next. I stopped by Uncle Bob's house and no one was home, so I went over to see Peter and Karen's new house as they had moved in the week before. The house is really nice and is really big. They have a long ways to go before it is finished, but they are off to a good start. I found out that Uncle George and Aunt Thelma were due to arrive that same afternoon at Bob's. And when Karen called over there, they insisted I stay for dinner, even though I tried to leave. I should call before going down, but this was a spare of the moment thing. But they insisted, so what could I do? It was a delicious meal, of course. And I enjoyed visiting with George, Thelma, Malcolm, Saray, Bob, Lucille, and Constance. They were people of money. And when you had a meal at Uncle Bob's house, you sat in a dining room and waiters, they had people prepare the meals and waiters would bring it out to you. It was very formal, very enjoyable, of course, and the food was always perfect. But that was something I remember. And kind of strange to me because I didn't live that lifestyle, but they were used to it. I left at 9:45 and was back at Fort Dix at 11 p.m. While there, I made arrangements to stay there one night on my way home so I could get a fresh start on Friday morning the 22nd. I made an appointment on the 21st to get my VW looked at and adjustments made before I got on the road. Enclosed, find a few pictures made with my new camera and maybe some with the old. That camera really works good and is even better than I expected it to be. Gotta go. Love, Donnie. So that was my last letter that I wrote during my tour in Vietnam, because from then on I was back home in Corpus Christi and ended up going to Del Mar College. And after that, went to University of Texas. So I was, other letters that I've written are from that era, which don't belong in this series. And but I hope everyone who followed this enjoyed this journey with me, this Army career, which was very interesting. And I'm so glad my folks saved those letters, preserved those for me. And like I say, they gave them to me like 20 years, 30 years later, and didn't even know they had kept them. So it was just fantastic. So that'd be a lesson for people to hang on to stuff as best they can. Anyway, I thank you all, and be sure and share this if you can. Like it, let as many people see it as possible. It'll be on YouTube, I guess, indefinitely. And people can go there from time to time and see it. It is definitely underutilized at this point, and it'd be nice to see more people read about the history and things that went on for people like me who weren't in the war. And at the war, but not in the war. And it's a different perspective. So I thank you all, and I'll say goodbye for now. See you at another time. Thank you.